Hello there, very good evening. You're watching Primetime News live here on News Fest. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
A very good evening, I'm Shane Silva.
As usual, we start off with a look at your headlines.
Kazakhstan's president pledges support to President Mahinda Rajapaksa for development in Sri Lanka. Petitions filed seeking an order preventing the PSC from examining the allegations against the Chief Justice taken up in court today. 12 murders in the past 90 hours. Israel puts ground operations on hold to give a chance for ceasefire talks with Hamas militants. And the Sri Lanka Apparel Exporters Association says the time has come to reacquire the GSP concessions.
Several petitions that were filed in the Court of Appeal today were referred to the Supreme Court for constitutional interpretation. The petitioners had sought a court order preventing the Parliamentary Select Committee from examining the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice, Dr. Shirani Bandaranayake.
When the petitions were taken up for hearing today, lawyers pointed out that according to the Constitution, only an institution vested with judicial powers can hear cases. Therefore, they pointed out in court today that it is unconstitutional for the Parliamentary Select Committee to examine the impeachment motion. Considering the submissions made, the three-member bench of the Court of Appeal decreed that a constitutional interpretation was required.
There were several petitions filed in the Court of Appeal today challenging the validity of the proposed process of hearing Her Ladyship the Chief Justice with regard to the motion of impeachment that is presently before Parliament. And it was questioned by several counsel appearing for several petitioners that the Constitution in Article 4C gives specific power for any judicial inquiry to be conducted only by an organ exercising judicial power. And therefore, whilst the Parliament may very well bring an impeachment motion under Article 107, the actual process of hearing could not be done by anyone other than an institution exercising judicial power of the sovereign Sri Lankan citizen by Article 4C. And therefore, there arose a question whether the Standing Order 78A, which had been promulgated some time back, whether that was constitutional. The constitutionality of the standing orders, whether there was a burden of proof, a standard of proof, because none of that is provided for. And therefore, the Lordships of the Court of Appeal sought it fit to refer the matter to the Supreme Court, the Lordship of the Supreme Court, under Article 126(3) for a determination of the constitutionality of this process.
Meanwhile, several other petitions that were filed in the Court of Appeal today pointed out that some members of the Select Committee were biased. The Court of Appeal informed the petitioners that legal provisions require that this must first be considered in the relevant court of first instance.
In the meantime, opposition leader Ranil Wickremesinghe has appointed a committee of lawyers to assist the party's representatives in the Parliamentary Select Committee appointed to examine the impeachment motion against the Chief Justice, Dr. Shirani Bandaranayake, which was included in the Parliament order paper on the 6th of November. The committee of lawyers include President's Counsel Srinath Pereira, Harsha Souza, Ronald Perella, Daya Palpolas, Chandima Mendes, Suleiman Mohideen, Rohan Gunapala, N.R. Srivendran and Murshid Maharoof. Kazakh President Nursultan Nazarbayev says that Kazakhstan will render its fullest support towards Sri Lanka's development programs implemented after defeating the LTTE. The Kazakh president expressed this view when he met his Sri Lankan counterpart, President Mahinda Rajapaksa, this morning. President Rajapaksa is on an official 3-day visit to Kazakhstan.
President Rajapaksa and the Sri Lankan delegation were warmly welcomed at the Presidential Palace. The President's media unit stated that both heads of state directed their attention towards promoting the tourism and trade sectors in Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, President Rajapaksa attended a cultural event yesterday. The cultural event was held in the Kazakh city of Astana. Diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and Kazakhstan date back to 1992. The aim of the President's visit is to strengthen the economic, trade and cultural ties between the two countries. Incidentally, this is the first time a Sri Lankan head of state is visiting Kazakhstan.
To the opening of the exhibition came
The UMP questioned the government as to how it could obtain loans on interest from various countries and then provide the same funds as grants to other countries. UMP General Secretary Parliamentarian Thissath Nayaka raised this question at a media briefing today.
Like very wealthy people, we are spending 500 million rupees to build roads in Maldives. How has this donation been made? It has been made by taking loans on interest from various countries. They then show the rest of the world that we are well off by giving this money to build roads in the Maldives. When the president of Uganda came here the other day, the government gave him 130 million rupees to develop vocational training in his country. Think about how many technical institutions and vocational training institutions have been shut down here due to lack of funds. We have no means to cover the budget deficit. The wastage of public funds in this manner is not even reported to Parliament.
12 murders have been reported from several areas in the past 91 hours. The latest in the string of murders was reported from Bulat Sinhala and Kadawatha.
දිනෙන් දින ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ සිදුවන ඝාතන අතරට අද අලුයම තවත් ඝාතන ත්‍රිත්වයක්.
A triple murder was the latest addition to the string of murders. The victims were a mother, father and son.
මේ නිවසේ වාසය කළ එකම පවුලේ මව, පියා සහ පුතා අද අලුයම ඝාතනය කර තිබෙනවා.
The police were notified of the multiple murder at 6:30 this morning. The police stated that the victims had been bound and attacked with sharp weapons.
ඇහිල්ල බලනකොට ඒ අයියා පොඩ්ඩක් කෙන්ද්‍රිකක හිටියේ ඉතින් අපිට එකපාරට අල්ලන්න බෑ.
One person was still alive. We called 119. That person died en route to the hospital.
ඉතින් හරි මේ සද්දයක් නෑ මොකෝ. ඊට පස්සේ එහෙම නිකන් හිටියා.
The victims have been identified as 92-year-old M.A. Fernando, his wife 85-year-old H. Misselin and their 60-year-old son Hector Dharmasiri. Police in Bulat Sinhala and Kaluthara launched a joint investigation and the sniffer dog Grero was also called in. A part of the weapon used to commit the murders was given to the sniffer dog. News First was able to witness Grero, the sniffer dog, enter several houses in the vicinity of the crime scene. Relatives of the victims said they had sold a land very recently. One of the victims, A.M. Fernando, was a former officer in the estate sector. According to relatives, Fernando's son was mentally unstable. Meanwhile, a woman was hacked to death inside a house in the Gonahene area in Wabada, Kaluthara. The police revealed that the 38-year-old victim was a mother of two. One of the children who had returned from school had seen his mother lying lifeless and informed the neighbours, who in turn had informed the police. 12 murders were reported from 10 different locations around the country in 91 hours from the 17th. On the 17th of November, a father of four who was employed as a security officer of a financial institution in Gampola was murdered. That very day, a corpse was found on a by-road in the Mahaveli village in Thelde near Digana. On the 18th of November, R.M. Indasoma, the chief inspector and officer in charge of the in-service police training college in Ratnapura, was shot dead. That same day, an individual was found dead with his throat slit inside a car down Marine Drive in Bambalapitia. Meanwhile, an individual who served as a security guard close to the Gangodawila courts in Nugegoda was found murdered inside a building. A youth was hacked to death down Temple Road in Diulapitia, Borlaskamua. Also on the 19th of November, the body of a woman who had died under suspicious circumstances was found inside a house in Galewila. The body of an unidentified male with one hand severed was found in a stream close to the Borupana bridge in Ratmalana.
දවස්වල මේ විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ මනුෂ්‍ය ඝාතන කීපයක් වාර්තා වෙනවා.
Several murders are being reported these days. When comparing to this period last year, there were 707 reported murders, but this year only 555 have been reported so far. This includes 24 murders so far this month. Of this 24, 16 cases have been solved. In most instances, the reason for these murders turn out to be personal disputes.
සඳලා තියෙන්නේ හුඟක් වෙලාවට මේකට ප්‍රධානම හේතුන් තමයි එක් අයගේ තියෙන පෞද්ගලික ආරවුල්.
Murders are reported almost every day. What is the reason for this?
අපරාධ සිද්ධ කරනවාද බහුල වශයෙන් ඒ අයට නීතිමය වශයෙන් රැකවරණයක් හෝ ආරක්ෂාවක් ලැබෙනවා.
A majority of the criminals these days are receiving some kind of support on the legal side. Due to political interference, they sometimes have the opportunity to escape from the law. Because of drug use, gang violence has increased. Army deserters are trained in the use of firearms and their mentality prevents them from finding alternative employment. Therefore, they resort to crime. In 8 of 10 murder cases, the suspect goes free. This is due to weaknesses in police investigations. It is due to these factors that people are committing crimes at present. In order to mitigate this, I believe it is necessary to reintroduce the death penalty. This will serve to reduce crime to a certain extent.
මග කරන්න ඕනේ ඒක කිසියම් ආකාරයේ අපරාධ මර්ධනය සඳහා හේතු සාධකයක් බවට පත් වෙනවා.
A mother and her son had died after setting themselves on fire. The incident was reported from the Matuwagala area in Kiriyala, Ratnapura.
The police said that the incident was reported at 2:30 this morning. The victims are a 32-year-old mother and her 7-year-old son. The police suspect that the deaths may have resulted from a personal issue.
We saw a red light. We called them. They did not answer. We went to the back of the house. The back door was open. They had set themselves alight. We tried to save them.
The bodies are currently lying at the Ratnapura General Hospital.
An individual hacked to death at Dixon Junction in Gaul. 4 bodies with gunshot wounds found near a culvert in Gaul. 4 persons arrested on suspicion with regard to the murders. All 4 suspects released owing to the lack of evidence. Who is responsible for these murders? Are there any obstructions to implementing the law?
And it's time now for the newspaper cartoon of the day.